food services industry is approximately $60 billion in size, employs about 6 million people, and is one of the largest services industries across the board. The reason why we don't realize these facts is that the industry is quite fragmented. You see the corner shops, everybody selling food, but you don't see the large chains that are prevalent in some of the other countries across the world. So India has been a bit of a market that's not consolidated, not built chains like Starbucks or Burger King or McDonald's or Domino's, which our American counterparts have done very well. However, a few CDR chains especially have started to emerge in the last few years, and large groups like Impresario doing social and Massive doing Farzi Cafe. However, they too haven't been able to scale up, and the reason for that has been the unit economics is quite challenged. Why is that? Very simply put, the real estate cost is prohibitively expensive. There is very poor employee productivity. When you go to a restaurant, you see a lot of people coming in wanting to serve you, and that supposedly becomes the benchmark of service, right? If you have somebody who's at your beck and call in the restaurant, then you feel that you got good service. But all those people come at a cost, and that eats away into the profits of the restaurateur. And the third most important point about this industry, which is prohibited profitability, is that the pricing, elasticity is just not there. And the reason for that is that there is no entry barrier to this industry, right? Anybody can think of starting a restaurant, go ahead, lease a space, buy some equipments, hire a chef, and make a menu and start running that restaurant in maybe about 3 to 6 months time, depending on where he wants to open that restaurant. So everybody and anybody who thinks that this is a very glamorous industry, yes, there is glamour associated to it. You can do a lot of partying if it's your own restaurant. You can always tell your friends that this is my restaurant, but there is a lot of hard work and toil that goes into making a restaurant profitable. But what is the buzzword that we were talking about? So you hear this word quite a lot, right? Cloud kitchens, ghost kitchens, dark kitchens. What is that, and what are we? So I'm here to just talk a little bit about that. Predominantly, all of these names have been used interchangeably, and there is no clear definition of which is what. But I'll tell you the few models that are existing across the world in the cloud kitchen space and how do they all operate. What are the unit economics, for those? But firstly, let's dive into food delivery per se, and why is delivery of food becoming more and more important. Across the world, people can't. One thing that we can't buy is time, but we can always get it back by doing stuff which we are not doing today. And one of that is, if you're cooking food, we are spending time in the kitchen, we're spending time, buying groceries, going out and buying all of that. And we can stop all of that by just ordering food from outside. So a lot of people who want that time back for their families, for their own passions, doing whatever they please, are now switching to food delivery instead of cooking food at home. But the biggest challenge that remains in scaling up this industry at the moment is supply. Why? Because a lot of the food delivery that you order today from is coming from restaurants that are predominantly designed for a dine-in experience. What that means is that these restaurants have, again, high rental cost, low employee productivity, and the customer experience when the food is delivered from a restaurant, a dine-in restaurant, is not that great, both for people who are eating in the restaurant, because there will be a queue of riders standing outside the restaurant waiting to pick up orders, and that's not a very pleasant sight when you're wanting to have a good time in the restaurant. And the second is the food which is being cooked in the kitchen will always be prioritized for the guests who are sitting inside the restaurant, and therefore the delivery food will always get a little deprioritized, take more time to cook, and take more time to get handed over to the delivery rider, and therefore go cold by the time it reaches you. So in food delivery, there are two very important aspects for the customer to be happy. Is he should get the food hot and fast, very simple, right? So when you order food, if it comes cold, you are disappointed. You have to reheat it again, and it may not taste the same again. And second, if it takes a lot of time, then you get impatient and you want to find out what's happening to your order, right? So essentially, a cloud kitchen or a dark kitchen or a ghost kitchen is a kitchen which is designed and optimized for food delivery, right? So this is give you an example. It will not have a retail storefront, so if you can't walk into it, it will probably be tucked away in a corner where real estate costs are lower. It's easier for the riders to come in and pick up the order without having to go through traffic of main high streets. And but the location is still very close to where the consumption points are, so the food can still reach within 15-20 minutes of it being handed over to the delivery rider. So yeah, essentially that's the concept. How does that help? It reduces the occupancy cost that I've talked about. The rentals are much cheaper in non-retail facing high street locations. You can have much better employee productivity because you don't have to go and hire people now to serve your front of house, which is where we as diners, when we go in, all the staff is saved. You don't have to spend on those, and the customer experience is great, right? So food is cooked specifically for delivery. It gets packed straight away. It gets handed over to a rider, and therefore reaches you much faster than it would from a dining restaurant. Which is why this concept has started becoming very popular with restaurateurs who want to scale and expand. Also, because you're not building a front of house, you're not spending money in the ambience and the decor and tables and chairs and all of that. You're saving a lot of money, which enables you to open multiple kitchens rather than just one restaurant. So typically, the capital that goes into opening one restaurant, you could probably do 8 or 10 cloud kitchens, and therefore be able to scale your brand across a city, across many cities, across countries. So the sky is the limit in that sense. So those are the positives, right? I'm sure there has to be some negatives, and one of the biggest negatives which the industry is facing with the advent of delivery is the commissions that the delivery aggregators like in India's case, Zomato, Swiggy. Globally, there's DoorDash, Uber Eats, Delivery Hero, Food Panda, and all of them charge commissions which are about 25 to 30%, and they are variable in nature. So the more a restaurant sells, the more the commissions that they're paying to these delivery operators. And when you look at a restaurant P&L, and maybe in another session I can go deeper into that, is if a large chunk of that is variable being paid to these aggregators, is very little money that's left on the table for somebody to take home. And so that's one of the biggest challenges. The second biggest challenge is, I think, moving and understanding, moving from an offline world where you are basically advertising your restaurant to invite people to come in. Here you are part of a platform where the screen size is about 6-inch diagonal on your phone, and you're cramming in maybe hundreds and thousands of restaurants on that screen. So how do you stand out? How do you make your brand popular? How do you make sure that people see what you're offering, order, and then fall in love with your food, and then order again and again and again? So it's a mindset shift that restaurateurs need to go through to understand how to market on these platforms, how to market on your own channels like social media, your own website, maybe create a own demand and own consumer channel for yourself. So these are the two biggest challenges, not something that's unsurmountable. So I firmly believe that the future of food is in delivery. I have this very popular saying that 100 years back, and in fact in India maybe 50 years back, we used to stitch our own clothes. My mom used to stitch shirts for me, and if I tell my wife to do that, I'm sure that's a very quick way to get a divorce. So we moved from stitching our own clothes to buying them by going to a store, by ordering them on Amazon and Flipkart. And that's what's going to happen to food, right? Because we don't have time to, just like we didn't have time to stitch clothes, we now don't have time to cook, and over a period of 15, 20, 30 years, I think we will reach a state where we will not have any kitchens anymore within houses, and all the food will be available within 5 minutes of where you're residing. Great variety, great taste, hot and fast, available to you on tap, and that's the future of food that I foresee. So I hope this was useful. Maybe in the future sessions we'll go deeper into some of the other interesting aspects of the food services industry. Thank you and have a good day.